Welcome to Hyperlocal in Huntsville, Alabama, where I showcase local personalities and local businesses. Today, I have someone on my bucket list. Her name is Kelly Kazek, and I'm Sarah Runyons with eXp Realty. I'm so thrilled to have Kelly with us today. She is a friend of mine, and we're going to get into what she does. Maybe a few Southernisms here. You'll see why in a moment. But Kelly, welcome. I'm so glad to have you.
Thanks so much for inviting me. This is fun, and it's fun being interviewed by someone I've known for many years.
No, it's fun for me as getting to interview you. So let's start off with just well, let me introduce you a little bit further. So you're a journalist or for AL.com, and you've been with a Southern Thing. You're an author of 25 books. So you are a writer and you have really just put out a lot of incredible things. I purchased a gift from you, your Southern Thesaurus for somebody. I love that book. So we'll have to talk about that
Thank
one later,
you.
but I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, as you said, I'm a journalist and an author. And one of the things that I'm proudest of is being a humor columnist. I'm
Mhm.
not actively writing the weekly columns right now, but I've been writing them since I was in my 20s. And it's one of the things that has led to some of the books. Like I recently put out a collection of humor columns. But mostly I focus on Southern culture. It's just that as a journalist, you naturally lean toward nonfiction. I don't really have the great American novel in me. I don't think. Maybe it's coming. And so what I've always done is written about quirky history, roadside attractions, anything that's fun and unusual is what draws me. So that's what most of my early books were about,
Mhm.
regional Alabama stuff. And then all of my recent books have been about Southern culture in general.
Okay. So that's so interesting. And I love that you've kind of created a niche there of the types of writing you like to do and that you're interested in, because I think that makes business and life you just more fun if you're doing something you enjoy. So that's
It sure
awesome.
does. It sure
Uh,
does.
so can you tell the story of how you became an author?
I can. So I was at Auburn and I was thinking, what on earth am I going to do with my life, as we all do when we arrive at college? And thought of a few things. And then I thought, well, I make A's in English. So I'm just going to be an English major. And then what happens is you wake up with your English degree and say, what the heck now? You can't do anything unless you have a teaching certificate.
Mhm.
So I was ready to go to work as a server at a fancy restaurant, ready to, start my career in the
Mhm,
food industry
mhm, mhm.
when I saw an ad for a little weekly newspaper needing a reporter. And after a few months, I left that and got my first job at a daily newspaper, the Decatur Daily, and became a journalist, an accidental journalist.
Okay. Well, I think that college is one of those things that people think, oh, I'm going to get a degree and I'll automatically get a job doing a particular thing, but really is preparing you for life. And then you go out into the real world after you've been in that cocoon of that college experience. And it's like, okay, how do I make this? How do I flesh this out in my life? So I think it's really cool, though, how you arrived at that. And I think that some people will be very interested to know, especially aspiring writers, how you ended up in that direction.
Well,
So
and journalism led to books by, I'm sorry, I didn't finish the
no,
question,
oh no,
because
that's okay.
a lot of journalists write books, but I had been determined early on that I wanted to write books. And
Mhm.
when I was editor at a small newspaper in Athens, Alabama, a really wonderful patron of the arts there paid to help me publish a collection of columns. And it was called Fairly Odd Mother, Musings of a Slightly Off Southern Mom. And so that was my first book, and I was 44 years old. And I like to tell people
Mhm.
that so they don't stop their dreams.
Mhm.
And a lot of the early books were smaller publishers. And like I said, regional. And then the later books, I got into children's books,
Mm-hmm.
writing for It's a Southern Thing, like Why Is For Y'all, a book of
Mm-hmm.
Southern ABCs, has sold over 70,000 copies.
That's amazing.
So it all just kind of happened, but it happened because it was something I really wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is just so interesting to hear because I know, you think, well, I want to be a writer. Will I be the next J.K. Rowling? How is this going to happen? And so I think it's good to see how you did this. So what is it that you're about being an author that you're most passionate
Well, writing the children's books was just such a fun experience because you hope that you're encouraging children to read.
about?
And the books are really, really more fun about Southern culture than they are, informative. But I still think it's fun for children to get to read and learn through something I've written. I love that.
Mhm.
As far as the other books, like the columns and the books of columns, if I can hear that I have made someone laugh, that's just everything to me. That is just
Okay.
everything to me. Making someone laugh is my passion. So if
That's
someone emails me and said, you made me snort my milk out of my nose, I'm like, my job here is done. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you hear comedians say that the similar things, but you're doing it through writing, through your books. So what do you believe are your key qualities that have made you successful as an author?
well, determination, as I sort of
Mhm.
mentioned above, if I hadn't really wanted to write books,
Mhm.
they wouldn't have just fallen in my lap. And one thing I tell people coming up who are writers, like, what
Mhm.
should I do? What's the first thing I should do? And I say, well, the first thing you have to do
Mhm.
is write the book because they
Mhm.
go into all this stuff. How do you get an agent? How do you get a publisher?
Mhm.
First thing you need to do is write the book and then
Mhm.
worry about the other stuff because if you don't write it, it's never going to get published, right?
Mhm.
So, but beyond that, you have to be very, very, very determined. It's not an
Mhm.
easy industry. There
Mhm.
are, different ways into it, though, as I
Mhm.
learned, starting
Mhm.
small and
Mhm.
sort of adding as you go.
Mhm.
So you just have to be very determined. If you can't immediately find a way in the traditional ways,
Mhm.
find the back ways.
Mhm.
And there are all kinds of ways to get in these days.
Yeah, so you were saying, that you really wanted to be an author, but then you found journalism as being a avenue to kind of get started,
Right.
to pay some bills and to write and to actually get going, and then eventually were able to realize that dream of being an author. So yeah, you definitely sounds like I mean, and in so many things in life, but also in your situation, have to stick to it and not give up.
Yeah,
If you quit something, it's never going to happen, right? so
exactly.
so that's true. Okay. So you've had quite a journey though, over that period of time. So reflecting on that journey, what moment or achievement are you most proud of?
Um, Really, I mean, the easy and cheesy thing to say was I'm most proud of knowing children read my books and I've made people laugh. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really true. But
Mm-hmm.
to get on another level of like awards
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing, I've won many awards in journalism. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was editor, led the paper to many awards, and that made me proud because I thought I made our community proud at that time.
Okay.
That was an awesome thing. But the
Mm-hmm.
award I'm most proud of is in 2022, I won the best humor columnist from the National Society of Newspaper Columnists. That
That's
was amazing.
awesome.
That
That's
was amazing.
awesome. That is quite amazing. So that is, I'm so proud of you, Kelly. So, do you have any upcoming book projects?
I do, and I'm
Mhm.
making another leap. So I hope this is also encouraging to other writers. You don't have to stick with a genre. I
Mhm.
have written a book, and you're the first to know this. This is an exclusive. I have, I know, I've written a book of young adult ghost tales based
Mhm.
on local lore, I mean,
Mhm.
statewide lore
Yeah.
for the University of Alabama Press. And it's
Okay.
called Some Nightmares Are Real, and it's
Okay.
intended to be a series.
Oh,
So the
wow.
first one comes out in the fall, and then I'm about finished with the manuscript for the second one, which will come out next fall.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
young adult.
there are quite a few ghost stories around our state, I will say. So yes, well, that is quite exciting, Kelly. Um, I guess I have to ask, do you believe in ghosts?
No, and do you know why I don't? Because I've
Why?
never seen one.
Okay.
If I'd seen one, I feel sure I'd believe. I'd probably be
Yes.
running, out the door. But the reason I like ghost stories, and I say this in the
Yeah.
introduction for people who think ghost stories are hoodoo and evil
Mhm.
or whatever, the reason
Mhm.
I like them is because they teach folklore and they pass down folklore, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
history in them. And that's the reason I
Absolutely. Yeah.
love them.
Well, my favorite genre is historical fiction. And I love, I have a master's degree in education and I love history. So I find a lot of what you write fascinating from a historical perspective. I think that's very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
And I know, you do a lot of just really Southernisms, okay? Like a lot, I've read in that Southern Thesaurus, read through all of those things, and I'm like, yes, yes. And now there are some things in there that I know my mom has said to me, like "Don't be ugly,"
Don't be ugly.
okay, and she's just can't never could. Now that's definitely something I heard can't never could, or
And it
can't
has,
never could, can't
yeah,
never.
you got to say it right because it's can't never could. Now, some people do say can't never could, but yes.
Yes, yeah, and I'm sure she probably said can't never could. Um, so,
And they're so fun. They're so
oh, they
colorful.
are.
And the introduction to the thesaurus, I discuss how Southern language is so colorful and we're colorful people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, it's just fun and fascinating.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's so many things about the South, and I know there's stigmas about the South, but there's some beauty about the South too. And I think that it's great to just go into that. And it's hot in the South. And I feel like the heat in the South has something to do with some of the things that we say. And just it's just a hot place, like having a hissy fit or I don't know, just so many things. Um Here's when you'll feel better if you put a little lipstick on. I think your mom is really trying to say, go put on a full face of makeup or something. I don't know.
I want
But
to
we don't.
tell you that growing up that way, because I don't do it anymore. I mean, women are
Yeah.
very much like, you got to take me as I am, which is wonderful for young
Yes.
women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those of us who grew up being told, comb your hair and put on your lipstick, it's
Yeah.
different. You feel like I could not go on with you with a naked face. It wouldn't be possible. And that's just
Yeah.
how we were raised, you know.
It's true. It's true. My daughters are not like I am in that respect. They had their fresh faced quite often without makeup, and
Right.
so that's fine. I think more power to you.
Oh, and
But
here's a Southernism for you.
okay.
It's not a naked face, it's a naked face.
Naked. Oh,
But
yeah, naked face. The way in which it is,
NEWKID.
this is true. The way in which it is said, there's something about that. Well, and I know we could talk till the cows come home, but we don't have that much time. So, but I do want to ask you if there's one thing that you'd like our audience to take away from this interview about you and your business, what would it be?
Um, that's a good question. I just hope that young people who might be coming up as writers would first of all, they're free to reach out to me anytime, Kelly Kazek at kellykazek.com, because I love talking to
Mhm.
people who are authors, and they don't have to be young. They can be older than me when they
Any
start.
age that's an
Uh,
aspiring author.
just
Yeah.
like JB Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote in her 60s. But
Yes.
anyway, that's I just hope that uh, I can have an impact
Mhm.
on people and help people who are coming up. And
Mhm.
as far as my journalism, which I don't do as much news anymore like I
Mhm.
used to, I always hoped that I could get people's stories right and tell people's stories for them. And I felt that was such an important job.
Mhm. Well, that's a wonderful thing to aspire to. I think that it is so wonderful of you. And you've even spoken with my daughter because she is interested in writing. She's actually taking creative writing class right now and loving it. And so I thank you for that. Where can people find you, Kelly?
Right now, the best way to see to find a list of books and
Mhm.
find what I'm up to on maybe some of my travels is kellykazek.com. If you
Okay.
go to al.com or southernthing.com,
Mhm.
you can search my name. It's a weird
Mhm.
name, Kazek. And
Mhm.
that way you can see some of the stories I've written over the years.
Okay.
But you want to see the
Awesome.
columns?
Oh,
This is
yes,
my
yes.
newest book of columns.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Okay.
You see
That's
me
it.
here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a vintage me, but me.
Oh, I love the way they vintagized you
Yeah.
on that cover. That's cool. Well, that it was so much fun. I think the description and a lot of things that I read is Kelly Kazek, just a weird news reporter reporting weird news. And you do have some fascinating, very interesting, like those funny. What are some of the road? Well, let me quickly ask, what are some of those roadside things that you've written
I
about?
just
Like,
have to tell you very quickly. I
yes.
remarried late in life. I was a single mom, my
Yeah.
daughter's whole life mostly.
Yeah.
Remarried late in life, and we honeymooned at the world's largest ketchup bottle in Illinois, and then took a drive down Route 66, which is full of little oddities and ghost towns. And it's just something I enjoy.
Yeah.
If I can drive up to the world's largest cedar bucket, I'm going to do it. So.
Yeah. Oh, how fun. How fun. Well, it's been fun talking with you, Kelly. And I just appreciate you as a friend and just thank you for coming on today. Now, that's one item off my bucket list. So,
Well,
um,
the world's largest cedar bucket list.
oh, that's right. That too. All
No,
right.
but thank you so much. I've
Oh,
enjoyed
you're
it.
welcome. Have a great day. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.